What is wrong with you, bro? I mean, you got to be kidding me. The New York Jets are in this division, and you talk about the Patriots have to worry about being in last place in the NFC. The New York Jets, okay? I mean, they regressed to, listen, they regressed to a point where Fireman Ed said, you know what, let me go, let me retire from putting out fire. In last place, when the last time the New York Jets were relevant from a championship perspective was when Broadway Joe was their quarterback, walking around in tight shorts.
This is Daniel Smith from Jets Guru. Welcome to the show. All gas, no brakes. Let's go, Jets. Woo!
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down. Meet me in the club with that booty on me. It's going down. Go down while you looking lonely. It's going down. Go around and it's all on me. Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down. Meet me in the club. Meet me in the club. Meet me in the club. It's going down. Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down. Meet me in the club. She headed to the dance floor and she slowly started popping it. Something like my wrist piece, everybody got to watching it. Girl, you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I would be stupid to be not.
What's going on, Jets Nation? CJ the Painkiller D. Simone here, and you are watching Jets Guru. Now, give it up for your host, Mr. Daniel Smith!
What is going on, Jets Guru world? Welcome back to Jets Guru once again here. Appreciate the support. Please share if you can. We're having some issues with being able to log on and share from the account. It's like very sporadic. So I'll try to do it throughout the show. But if you guys can just share so we can get a couple people in here before we really start diving in. But hey, listen, we're getting closer and closer in here. These guys are working, kind of getting loose again, and they're together. They're not really going through the playbook and tearing it up out there or anything. It's more like just getting these guys loose. It's like they've been in the off season for a few months, and it's time to like shake it off and get back into camp shape. Because July is right around the corner, and you got to get it going. So this is how it's coming to be. But one of the things that we noticed, before we get into that, Kevin, let's get into, and I'm going to let you take this, and then I'm going to start sharing a little bit and just to hear your opinion on it. I mean, listen, I'm divided, all right, because the clip that we played before the show started, Stephen A. Smith, right, and what he said, him and Swagoo were going back and forth. Now, to me, Swagoo is middle ground, being fair in his analysis on the New York Jets, right? He's saying, listen, I believe that the Jets are going to finish ahead of the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to be in the bottom of the division. And Kevin, I just remember last week, we said that we believe that there's a strong possibility the Jets could do the same thing. I don't think it's outlandish. If you really look at the moves that were made, if you look at the lack of additions from New England's perspective, if you look at the fact that they've lost coaches, which means loss of cohesiveness as far as play calling is concerned, and you still don't know who's going to be the play caller moving forward. So I think the Jets have a very strong chance, and I think that the Patriots can have a strong regression by a few games. They caught a lot of people off guard. Remember, the Dolphins had a horrible start and eventually finished strong. I think the Jets are going to be much improved. I think Buffalo now know that this is their time now. If you're going to get to the Super Bowl, it's right now, and they have the capability of doing it. So I think everyone is a lot more prepared, including, we always talk about how when it comes to the Jets, how inside of the conference, it's going to be a lot tougher for them to go out there and be able to replicate what other teams do and win consistently, winning teams, because it's just going to be so stacked. Well, that goes for every other team that's there too. It's going to be harder for the Patriots, harder for the Bills, harder for the Dolphins, and every other AFC East team to stack wins as well. And I just think that the Jets are going to be a pain in the butt for a lot of different teams next year, where they're just going to be hard outs. And that's what I want to see them be. On the other hand, it's been 11 seasons, no playoffs, and a lot of expectations put on the Jets quarterbacks when they come in and they ultimately fail. So I could see why a personality like Stephen A. Smith, who also is trying to sell a show, he already knows Swagoo has this opinion. And so he has the opposite opinion and he's going to sell it. And that's what Stephen A. Smith does. And that's why he's one of the most sought after entertainers in ESPN. You guys can hate him all you want to. I am not going to knock the brother who is a pioneer within the sports world as far as starting shows. Basically, what we're doing is what Stephen A. Smith does pretty much every day. And he's a pioneer for other African Americans who've come in after him to be able to do what they do. And so I will not knock him, but I will knock his opinion on that. Kevin, how did you feel about both what Swagoo said and both what Stephen A. Smith had to say?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways to take it, right? And what a lot of Jets fans, and I respect this opinion a lot, is, well, you got to prove it, right? It's got to be more than like paper, and you got to improve more on paper. And everything you said is 100% right. The division is filled, honestly, with 4 young quarterbacks, right? Josh Allen is still under 26 years old. Like, he's still a young quarterback. And what team put pieces around their young quarterback that fits their system the best and complements the quarterback skill sets? And that is where, we're projecting, right? All of us, including Stephen A. and team. And as Jets fans, you got to be really excited about how the different pieces at running back, at receiver, at offensive line fit what Mike LaFleur is trying to do. And when you look at what New England has done, and you look at what Miami has done, and Bills already got their pieces, right? Now they're at the supplement stage. They're just supplementing little holes here and there, but the Bills already got like their offense and defensive systems in place, right? And while the Patriots, you would say, well, they got Bill Belichick. They have their system in place. Well, pump the brakes a little bit, right? Yep. McDaniels is gone. Joe Judge is in. Like, there's a whole new system. You can say the system is the same, but you're already hearing complaints from the players, which is very un-Patriot-like. You're already hearing, like, do these pieces fit what he's trying to do and all these things. While Bill Belichick has a system, and I'm sure they'll figure it out, you can't look at it and be like, wow, that complements what Mac Jones does well, because they didn't add receivers. They didn't add – I mean, they do have the 2 tight ends. I will say what they do, and they do have some complimentary running backs. And if they're going to dink and dunk and throw over the middle and play to him not having a strong arm, maybe that is, and they're just going to run the ball. But as a team, you could say, man, the Jets keep adding pieces that should be able to start taking some of those things away. And same thing for Miami. I kind of look at those like wide receivers who are super talented, super fast, super athletic, can beat you over the top, but they're not receivers that can take a pounding. Right? I mean, there's games last year. Go look at, Jets fans, Jalen Waddle's game logs. You're going to see things like 12 catches for 54 yards. You're going to see 4-yard per catch games. I'm not even making it up. Go look it up. Right? He had over 100 receptions and barely got 1,000 yards. It's like 103 or something. So you're like, how do you take a guy with almost 4.2 40 time and barely average 10 yards a catch? Because he's catching 100 million screen passes. Right. And you got to look and say, oh, is that what you want to do with a 29-year-old Tyreek Hill? And a Waddle was a fragile player at Alabama. And you got a quarterback who they can't get down the field. So, as Jets fans, we kind of look at it and we're like, we feel the pieces that we put in Mike LaFleur's system fit what Zach Wilson does best, which is attack down the field and be accurate. So, maybe we're a little biased, and I would say Stephen A. is literally saying, prove it. Right. Now, he's always over the top, right? He's always like, oh, the Jets haven't been relevant since Namath. Well, we weren't relevant with Bill Parcells. We weren't relevant with, Chad Pennington. Like going to the playoffs every single year under Herm. Like we weren't relevant then. We were a couple missed field goals by O'Brien, from Doug Bryan, from going to the Super Bowl, right? Like we were Victor Green biting on the play action pass from going to the Super Bowl in 98. Like we've been relevant. And I don't say that to just Stephen A. I say that to Jets fans who are also, I've been waiting 50 years. Oh, you didn't enjoy the Rex Ryan years? You didn't enjoy the Bill Parcells years? Wait, you haven't watched the Jets for 50 years? Is that what you're saying? Because maybe that's what I hear when I say, well, we have been good for 50 years. Okay. But Stephen A wants us to prove it. And
right.
in all honesty, so do we. So Salah, go out there, make these guys fit all these cool toys. Go out there, make some plays, win some football games. And that's what we're challenging the Jets to do this year. Give us 7 or 8 wins.
No, I'm with you too. And Jedi, I think it was Jedi in the chat. He said anything under 7 wins is unacceptable. And I'm going to absolutely 100% agree with you on that. There's no way that the Jets can come out here. Jedi Knight said that and come out there and do that. There's absolutely no way. There's no way that you can come out there and get a six win season after all those additions. To only get 2 wins. That means that your second year quarterback is struggling big time, and that's something that just can be unacceptable for the New York Jets. If Zach Wilson doesn't have a strong showing, like we said, remember Jets. Everyone calls me an apologist all the time. You know that I hated Darnold. I'm an apologist, and I keep telling you guys that was rookie year. Rookie year, I give everybody a pass. Everyone deserves a pass when they first start something new. This is his second year in. I think the front offices did just an amazing job stitching together this team, and there's no reason why that this New York Jets team shouldn't have exactly, Simon, 24. I have 28 touchdowns plus a couple running ones. That may seem like a lot because we're not used to offensive teams as a New York Jet fans. But that's what it's expected in this league if you're going to be a top 10 quarterback. You can't be coming out here with 20 touchdown, 16 interception seasons and being like, that was a solid year. It's like, no, dude, it's like you got yourself an average guy, and that's cool and all. But if you want to be where ultimately we deserve to be as fans, because I think New York Jets have some of the best fans around, as much torture as they've been through, that, you got to have an elite guy. And so Zach Wilson comes into camp. And by the way, before we get into that, Rockaway Archie passed away. That was completely by surprise. I guess he was sick. Someone said, I didn't even know. Cool guy, very nice guy, very welcoming. As far as any time I really spoke to him. So online. So yeah, cool guy. And, it sucks, man. People are passing away. And people are passing away young, man. I tell people all the time, and this is unrelated to him whatsoever because I do not know what happened with him. But, as you get older, even in your 30s, moving on, start to adjust, man. Start making some changes in your life to fine-tune your diet, work out, to keep yourself, very strong. So as you age, it's a little bit better. Like I said, unrelated to him, just watching people in my family and like how people break down and stuff as they get older. It's like, do some things for yourself to help yourself, prolong, because you got people in their 50s just completely breaking down, 60s. And it's like, you should be living a lot longer than that in this modern day. Just, the diets and stuff, just take care of yourself. Right. But getting into that, Zach put on some weight, man. He looks good. You could see strong base, legs, just, he's coming out here and he looks strong, and he said he feels more comfortable with a little bit more weight on him. And I think that's good, especially for his quads and his legs, to put on a little bit more muscle, because you saw he took a little bit of a beating last season there. And so it's good that he strengthened the muscles around his legs and his knees and, the pillars that are going to keep you upwards. He's not a really big guy. He's not a big guy. So if you could maximize what you have, add a little bit of weight, tone it up, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if he's going to use his legs. He's going to have to put a little bit. And remember, guys, during the season, he's probably not lifting weights like he is in the off season. It's different. It's more of a conditioning thing, because they don't want these guys like blowing out their quads or their arms or whatever. So it's a different type of a workout. And so he's probably going to lose a little bit of weight over the course of the season, to be honest with you, with all the practice in the games and, just watching your diet. It's just, all going to come together throughout the season. He's going to drop a few pounds. So he said he's like 221 now, and that he wants to get down to, I think he said about 218 or 217 or something like that by game. He'll probably wind up by the end of the season being about 210. You know, probably something like that, 210, 212. He'll drop a couple pounds probably throughout the season. And so he's doing the right thing. He's putting on a little bit of size, a little bit of muscle now, knowing that the season is a grind, and it's just going to make him stronger, give him a little bit more endurance towards the end of the game. I'm not suggesting he turns into Tim Tebow and start running all over the field and stuff like that. That I'm not suggesting. But what I am suggesting is he has the type of body where I don't think it's his mechanics that give him his arm strength. I think it's his natural ability to really sling that football. And I think the type of weight that he put on and where he put it on, it's going to make him stronger. So I expect him, and he, remember, only 22 years old, something like that. The man strength ain't even there yet, you know? So when he gets 24, 25 years old, and he keeps up with this work ethic, he's going to be really strong. And so hopefully by then he's a strong top 10 quarterback for the New York Jets. That would be the way I would like to see it. But Kevin, it's good to see these guys come in, especially Hulk Wilson coming in, looking good, looking in shape. A lot of people are saying that his demeanor is different, that he's more assertive, that he's a little bit more loud out there. So it's good to see him trying to take ownership of this team. And I love the way Joe Douglas set it up. There's not a lot of veterans there. It's a lot of young kids, a lot of new people that are trying to learn. So when you have a guy like Zach, who's a second-year quarterback, I feel like he can grab the team a little bit faster than someone who is in a more established starting quarterback that he would have to take over for. Yeah, they do have Flacco there, but Flacco's been a backup for many, many years now. So it's a different type of understanding with the way the team is built. So there's no competition there whatsoever. So I like that, the leadership. I like the attention to detail as far as the workouts, and I think he's ready to go.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is, I mean, you expect him to put on the weight just getting into an NFL strength and conditioning program. But the biggest part is your second comment about the leadership and what you see on social media. And it's funny how this can apply to Zach Wilson and somehow doesn't apply to Mekhi Becton, but maybe we'll tackle that another day. Is that all you see on social media is the flights and the golf and him hanging out with Braxton Berrios and him like working out with wide receivers for the Jets and other teams. And you see all this traveling and all this stuff. You see the family pictures. You see all these things. Like Zach Wilson has had an amazing offseason, right? He's been in Tennessee. He's been in California. He's been in Miami. He's been in New York. He's been in New Jersey. He's been everywhere. And it's only been a couple months, right? The season ended in February. The Super Bowl was just February, guys. It's been 3 months. And I already named 5 different states, like working out with all kinds of people. He's going to George Kittle's like tight end university camp coming up. And what haven't you seen is you've seen like 1 or 2 pictures of him like lifting weights. And he has some, and he usually posts them as jokes, right? He's like, I swear I lift more than 20 pounds, and it shows him doing curls and stuff like that, right? And he just posts the weightlifting pictures as jokes. But when you see him,
right, yeah,
it's the legs, right?
Yeah,
and the legs. And he hasn't posted a single picture of him doing a squat, right? I mean, I follow Zach Wilson too. Like you haven't seen him like doing the squats and doing, because he's doing that too. And it's leadership, setting the example. I'm in my strength. I'm doing this too. I'm golfing. I'm doing the family. I'm doing the wide receiver stuff. And I'm not skipping leg day, like kind of thing, right? I'm working out. And you want him to set the example and also say, like, look, like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like across the board. And I don't have to post every single thing. And Jets fans should learn like a little bit about this, right? Not every single Jets player is going to post every single morning when they walk into a gym to convince you that they work out, because they don't got to convince you, right? This is part of their life. They're going to live it how they want, and they're not going to post everything on social media, even though you want to see it. So I think it's great. I think it sets a good example. It shows his teammates that he's taking it seriously, and it shows the fans that he's taking it seriously. And while he doesn't need the extra arm strength, just like you said, most of his throws, he throws it 50 yards on a flick of a wrist, right? I mean, we've seen it 100 times. Completions and incompletions, it's like zip, and it's there. Very Marino-like. But when he is scrambling, when he is throwing on the run, a stronger base does two things. Yes, it helps with the arm strength, and two, it helps with accuracy, right? If you have a stronger base, it's easier for him to do all those little flicks. So I'm excited, especially with our new offensive line where he has time on the different things that he can do and really challenge a defense, especially if we get a run game this year with our two backs and improved offensive line. Man, he can really attack a defense like we haven't even seen, right? Some Mahomes stuff, some Allen stuff. Like just he's going to outthrow you can be in zone with two safety high, and if a guy splits your safeties, it could be a big time thing where all of a sudden it's a 70-yard bomb, but we've seen 70-yard bombs, right? So it's going to be exciting to watch. It's going to be exciting to see. And all he's doing is saying, even though I have arm strength, I'm not going to be like Vic and say I was born a natural athlete and never work out, right? I'm still going to say I have the natural ability, and I'm going to take the physical ability of the NFL strength and conditioning program seriously. So you got to be like, excited. You got to be excited, right? We're not going to see those Tua tapes where the receiver stops and waits for the 30-yard deep pass, right? We're not going to see that. So Jets fans, you should be really excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you should be 100% excited. And I mean, as much crap they talk about this kid's mother, if you actually watch them, they seem like a very good family, and he comes from a very strong base that's very supportive of him, and they kick out football players. That's what they do. If you watch them, their younger brother plays quarterback, and then another one plays linebacker for the same school that Zach went to. So it's like they come from a well-to-do family that's very focused and driven, and you could see that is spread into their children. You know, everything is built around football with this family. You could very much tell that as far as like what their like physical talent or their hobbies or whatever they do. It seems like for the kids, it's all football driven. And
football and golf. It's like they're either football or golf. But they do it as a family, like you said. That's really a positive thing.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for him, I think it's just great, you know, what Joe Douglas has built and established, because he's brought over some really good veterans for him. He's brought in very team-oriented guys. There's no real me guys. I can't really point out one guy who's left that's on the Jets roster that's a me guy that over everybody. It seems like everyone's really bought into what they're doing. So super excited about that. With the camp updates, I mean, listen, again, it's not truly camp. So it's like these guys are just kind of like, you know, they're getting loose. But what's great is you're seeing some of the older faces come around that make me kind of feel old. You start to see like Mark Sanchez, and you start to see, you know, Nick Mangold. And I just remembered those are the last time the Jets were like really good, dude. And it's like, it's been such a long time. And I just want to know your opinion, Kevin, about that. Like, I feel like because of the butt fumble, honestly, it really kind of hurt Mark's like ability to kind of come around in a sense, you know, like I really do, because the fans and like everyone, I mean, it was so bad. It really was. I mean, my buddy would call me all the time, and he's like, dude, because he's a Dolphins fan. And he's like, it's still number one on ESPN. Like, it like broke records, you know? And I honestly didn't think it was all that bad, dude. You know, I really didn't. I've seen more plays since then where I like people falling into people's crotches and all sorts of stuff that I think would be a lot better. But because it's the Jets, everyone is just waiting for them. When Rex Ryan was talking big and we were doing some big time stuff, everyone had to shut up for like 2 years while we got to finally be like, you know. But besides that, everybody's always waiting for the Jets to make a mistake. We're the league's punching bag. Don't forget about it. I know everyone likes to talk about the Browns and they talk about the Lions. No, see, those teams are like irrelevant. They're basically relegated until they actually do something real good, right? But the Jets are the true punching bag. Go and watch the TV shows and New York. It's the Jets and the Mets, the little cartoon shows they do on Family Guy and all this other BS. We're always the jokes, and everyone always makes fun of us and stuff like that. No one takes us seriously. And I think finally they're going to, and I think that's why you're starting to see some of those older guys coming around, because I think they feel the vibe that's going on in the building. But what do you feel about Mark coming around again? Because I think he's really important to the Jets' history. I mean, he ultimately didn't meet where he was supposed to get as far being as talented as he was and being that high pick. But he did go to 2 AFC championship games. He had some impressive victories and some impressive victories on the road in the playoffs and different things. And the Jets don't have a lot. And I think fans should gravitate more towards Mark Sanchez instead of leaving him out of a lot of these conversations when we talk about quarterbacks for the Jets.
It's actually funny because with what you just said, like, pros and cons of being a Jets fan, and it's like we haven't had a lot of elite like quarterbacks, right? We kind of only had one, and even he has more career interceptions than touchdowns, and that's our elite quarterback, Joe, right? And thank God for him, because our history would be brutal if we didn't. But Sanchez is probably one of the top 5 Jets quarterbacks all times, which isn't saying a lot, but accomplishment wise, he's up there. And I always feel he does take a lot of heat for that. But and this is what happens when you wear the mantle of quarterback, right? Like, he kind of got some of the blowback from the Rex Ryan, like just saying and talking and doing the absolute most. And you just happen to be the quarterback, right? And even that Rex and Sanchez taking all the heat, I mean, how much of that was really how bad we've drafted like the last 10 or 15 years, right? It's been brutal. It's been absolutely brutal, where it's like, well, he was out there playing with like Stephen Hill and Jeremy Curley, and like we were just hoping these guys were going to be like good receivers, and they weren't. And they weren't. After Braylon and we paid Santonio Holmes, who was only here like 2 more years after he got paid, we've been brutal at receiver, and we've been brutal at drafting for over 10 years, right? I think we've drafted like a handful of Pro Bowlers, and some of those are Leonard Williams, Mo Wilkerson, and Jamal Adams, right? I think those are like the only Pro Bowlers over the last 10 years. So the Jets have been pretty rough, and when you're the quarterback and you have a coach that's saying outlandish things that gets put on your shoulders, and when it all falls apart, and as Jets fans, we know it all fell apart, things were magnified. And when you're out there, you're going to say you're going to blow somebody out, and then you're going to go do that play. It's almost like everyone's like, Rex might have said it, but Sanchez took a lot of the heat for that, unfortunately.
Right.
So, it is unfortunate a little bit. I don't think Jets fans don't like Mark. I don't see it. And I mean, we're all on social media sites. I don't think people say bad things about Mark Sanchez. We had some flashes in the pan. It'd be like, and I think Lowell just said something about like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Do we hate Ryan Fitzpatrick? I mean, the Bills game, but other than that, no, right? Like, you don't hate him. It's not like, Hackenberg or Bubby Brister, or we got Todd, and we could go on and on about all the brutal quarterbacks. But, Sanchez is middle of the road, probably one of our top quarterbacks. And no, I 100% agree with what you said, is that past players are getting excited about all the young talent, the new system, the new coaching staff, and Joe Douglas really looks like he has a plan, which is keep filtering in young talent and keep shuffling it in. And I do think ex-players are getting excited. I think our producer has a big epiphany to share with us. I can't wait to hear this.
It's about Sanchez. It's like, you know what I mean? You don't talk about them, but you don't want to brag about them either. You know what I mean?
You don't bring them up.
You just let it be. Like, my son wanted to wear his jersey to school a couple months ago, and I'm like, I probably wouldn't do that, man. We got a couple of jerseys to pick from. So, you know what I mean? He's cool with me, but you don't talk about him too much. That's it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would talk about Chad Pennington over him all day, right? Like
of course.
I like Pennington more than Sanchez, but Pennington's probably one of our top 3 quarterbacks all the time, right?
Well, Pennington, if you look at it too, at least completion percentage wise too. I mean, he was a very accurate quarterback. He definitely overachieved. I think Sanchez underachieved. But I think what hurt Sanchez is the fact that the Jets were roster-wise so good, and they tried to just kind of bottle him up because they're kind of like, man, if the Ravens can win with Dilfer, we could win a championship with Mark. He's athletic. He's got a good arm. He's young. And they almost did. And listen, Mark is not the reason why they didn't lose. They lost those 2 AFC championship games. Okay. It's not his fault. All right. So especially the second, especially the one against the Steelers, that one, we just ran out of time. We started off real stale and we ran out of time because if we had about an extra 5 minutes, the Steelers were going home and we were going to the Super Bowl because we owned the second half. And that happens when you come off emotional victory sometimes. You're just a little burnt out. You come out against the team, they just smack you in the mouth. Traditionally, Steelers just do that. And we got caught, that happens sometimes. But listen, I think that for Mark, I welcome him. I think he stayed a little too long. I wanted to see him gone a little earlier than what he was here because I realized very early on in his third year, about halfway through the season, that he wasn't going to be the guy. He just you just wasn't going to be the guy ever. It wasn't going to change for him.
And I would say that is exactly what happened. And it's funny because you brought up a great point earlier about us bashing Sam Darnold or whatever. It was like 2 games into his third season where I was like, he's literally not any better than his rookie year. And it was like, not even because everybody was like, Adam Gase. And rightfully so. Like, Adam Gase wasn't really helping him. But it was like, even when he could check down or call timeouts or do little things where it was like, all right, 4th and 11, I don't want to throw a wide receiver screen pass. Let me call it, just do some mature stuff at quarterback, right? And sometimes, and I would give every quarterback into that third season to evaluate him.
Right.
Same thing with Zach Wilson. Like, even if he's like 20 touchdowns, 18 interceptions this year, I would still be like, all right, like, I have my doubts. I have my doubts, but next year he could be 30-10, right?
Let me tell you something. If you start talking that mess, if that man plays like that, we're going to have some problems on this show because he better play. He better play because the good ones, they put the stats up. That is a fact. And that's what I keep trying to tell people. The good quarterbacks put up the stats. They will. They just will. They'll put up the numbers. You just look across the league. You look at the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. They put numbers up. So if you're going to be that, you're going to have to do that. And I think the Jets have more than a capable roster. So unless it's something like he gets injured and he only winds up playing like 6 or 8 games or something like that, all right, I'm cool with it. But if he plays a full season, he's got 20 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. I'm telling you right now, I'll declare it on the show right now. He's donezo. He's donezo, kid. He's donezo. And I will cheer for him because his mom is a really nice person, you see. But that is about it. He comes out here, 20 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, bro. Dude, you can't do that. What are you talking about? You're going to get your head coach. You're going to get your GM fired, bro. And you can't get Joe Douglas fired yet because I truly do believe that Joe Douglas really understands how to evaluate talent. So I don't want to see him gone because another person doesn't know how to do their job. How many people are you going to keep picking that are incompetent, can't do their jobs? How long is it going to continue? How long is it going to keep going? You could keep blaming.
What's your number? What's your TD number? Lowell in there said 35. So
Matt, Joe, come on,
35 would have put him 7th, 8th last year. That would be more than Joe Burrow threw for. Okay, so if he got 35 touchdowns, Joe Burrow only threw 34 last year. He would be it would be Patrick Mahomes, Allen, Wilson, Joe Burrow. That's if he got 35. I'm just like putting it.
Simon,
what's your number?
What Simon said, I think what Simon said is better. 2-1. So he, no matter what he does, it has to be like 2-1 because you like anything like, you're going to have games where you just, you get beat up. But for the most part, you want to see 2-1. You want to see 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. You just want to see around that ratio. And honestly, you know what? If you're the number 2 pick in the league and you got CJ and Conklin and these 2 running backs and all these receivers, you should be 3-1, bro. In a lot of games, a lot of them should be 3-1. If you're really going to be the man, if what they're talking about, I want to see 3-1. So in some of them. So, listen, for me too, it's the yardage. For once, I want a quarterback that can push the ball down the field and or no matter, short, long, but move it down. Like I want to see 300 plus a game. I'm tired of quarterbacks coming out throwing 210 yards a game, 205 yards, 175 yards. That's not doing nothing for me because I know what that means long term. I know what that means. That means more mediocrity. The Jets defense is going to be good. And then we're just we can run the ball with Brees Hall, Michael Carter, but we somehow can't find a quarterback. It's the same story. So, yeah, he needs to show out for sure.
So 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. And I'm just going by the comments, okay? I'm like picking and choosing some of your comments down there. 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns would have put him 11th last year on both touchdowns and yards, right?
I'm okay with that.
Yep. And that, just so everybody knows in perspective, those are like Aaron Rodgers numbers.
I'm okay with that too.
Right.
They got same coordinator, same bloodline. I'm into it. Let's do it. And listen, I'll take a little bit less on the passing numbers if you're telling me that he's going to have even more rushing numbers. If it's going to be something where he can get me 35 to 50 yards a game on the ground or something like that, then you could take something off the total of the passing yards. I'm all right with that if he's going to do, if he's going to do something like that. But yeah, I want to see 300. Give me at least 285 a game. Give me 285 a game. I come out there and I see 205, 175. I can't have that. That's not going to work for me because I know what that means. I know what that means moving forward. That means mediocrity. That means not winning. That means me up here while people are yelling at me the whole time in the comments. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Blah, blah, blah. You call yourself a guru. You're defending Zach Wilson. I'm not doing it. Second year. Okay.
It's 25 touchdowns. Let's get it.
Come on, let's get it. You're the second pick. Listen, same thing for Trevor Lawrence. He's got the same expectations. Like you're the big shot. You were the guy in Clemson that everybody they have. You were the golden boy. Come out here and come on then. If you're going to listen, the real good quarterbacks by year 2 are showing you things, at least these days. The ones I'm seeing, at least, they're showing you really from Jump Street, to be honest. For a lot of them, they're showing you right off the rip. But I understand sometimes your team is just not good enough. You don't have the particular weapons and this, that, and the third. So, but by second year, you're going to want to start seeing some of those elite things, or you start wondering, is he more like a top 15 quarterback? And then you start wondering, is he like more just kind of like a journeyman backup? And it's like, I just really I don't want to see that. I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I'm tired in general. I'm just tired, guys. And I can't have the Jets let me down like this. I just can't. I'm invested. I'm a season ticket holder now. Don't let me down. What are we talking about? Right? So 25 touchdowns, 4,000 yards. I'll take 3,700 yards if you're going to give me a little bit more, about 150, 200 yards more on the ground, and then everyone starts talking about Zach being, you got to watch him with the legs. Because, in college, he was able to get touchdowns. He's very crafty with his running. And I think with LaFleur's play style, I think you could see him score a lot of touchdowns in those short zone areas, within 10 yards. Because what's the problem with Zach is eventually, too, when he gets a hold of just his internal clock, just gets a little bit faster, especially if he has a little bit more protection. Because here's the thing. We killed Zach Wilson because he was looking down the field for the bigger plays because that's what he's good at, right? Well, he didn't necessarily have the offensive line right away. There wasn't really good chemistry. I don't think they really expected, it's when you're playing with a rookie behind you, it's tough, right? But by the end of the year, I think they got a good flow of what they do well. And I think Zach understands that you got to let the guys do the work. Get them the ball, let them operate. But I will say this. If the Jets offensive line is going to be as good as I think it could be, it's going to allow Wilson to have more time. And in turn, I think you could see him complete a lot more big plays down the field. I understand, and that's going to be great for people who, were like, man, we got to see more from Wilson. Like towards the end of the season, we just, he was just dinking and dunking. Well, he didn't have a lot to work with. And I think he was overdoing it, right? Because there was a lot of talk about like, he just can't hit the open guy. He just keeps missing the short throw. Could this guy throw a short pass? And it's like, yeah, he can throw a short pass, man. He's just a gamer, and he's looking down the field in a passing league to stretch the field. And he's young, and he's, like he said, he's a rookie. This is the time where you find out what you can and can't do. Well, he found out real quick. You got to be a little bit more careful. But what you did see in a few games when everything did click is that he has the ability to really just kind of throw that ball down the field. And I think with a little bit more time, and then the play action starts working, and he starts rolling out, and he can move. He's not slow, and he has very good mechanics. Watch the way he rolls out, the way he just moves. I know that you guys, and he has the Mahomes thing where he might throw off this and this, but I'm talking about from pocket out, 2 steps, drop or move left to right with his feet. His footwork is very good. So he's a very clean quarterback with his mechanics as far as that's concerned. There's no reason why this guy can't throw 25 touchdowns. If he doesn't,
if our defense is better, if we have a pass rush getting their other team's offense off the field, we have an improved secondary, which goes without saying. Our quarterback room is just amazing with Reed and Sauce Gardner added to what we already had. Not to mention Whitehead at safety that should make our run defense a lot better.
Yep.
I mean, if our defense can create some short fields, create some turnovers, get the flip. It felt like we were on defense a lot more than we were on offense last year. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I can tell you watching the games felt that way. If we flip it the other way where we're on offense 60-65% of the time and the defense 40 to 35, I mean, I think 30 touchdowns, right? If Sauce and Reed, between the two of them, get 8 picks, I don't care if it's 6-2, 4-4, 5-3. But because Hall wasn't getting picks last year, right? And Eccles at the end of the year was strong. But we start getting some picks with a pass rush and give him some bunnies where we start inside the 40-yard line. I mean, he could have a humongous year, right? That's one of the things that helped young quarterbacks. Like when Lamar Jackson was having a great year, it was like, well, yeah. I mean, he ran in a bunch of touchdowns and they set up 2 or 3 drives on the opposite side of the field. Well, yeah. Like, help the young guy out, play some complimentary football. Again, super excited to see what this year can do.
Absolutely. And obviously, like everything else, it's going to come down. If these guys aren't healthy, it's that the good thing about this team as opposed to last year, we had a lot of good young pieces that we brought in, but they became starters, right? We didn't have a lot of depth. This year, we have a lot of depth on this football team where if a guy or two is out, another guy or two can step in at multiple positions. And this is why I really liked what Joe did with the secondary, because when you look at it, you're like, I got Bryce Hall, so maybe I just get one guy to compliment him. And it's like, no, we're going to go out and we're going to get DJ Reed, and we're going to go out and we're going to draft the best corner in the draft, and we're going to get a really good Super Bowl winning safety. And it's like, all right, well, I guess we have a secondary. That's a secondary, guys. That is a legit pro secondary on paper right there. Right there. It just is. When you fill in with Eccles and all these other guys, it's a legit pro team. Like, I would be okay with that on any given year on paper, right? Now we'll see how it all molds together, but I'm okay with that. So, I mean, there's no reason why that this team should not have so many opportunities to go out there and do what they need to do. And as far as a team, and that's why I love the fact that Mike White is back, that if there is an injury, then you have a guy that how he plays best. He has more short weapons that you can kind of get the ball out for him. The one thing I will say about these camp updates, and just, again, fingers crossed, knock on real wood, for health here, Carl Lawson, please just let him get worked up in a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, let him get in shape in the gym or something, please. Just don't let him Don't let him get hurt. We can't have none of these guys getting hurt here. Just real clean camp. It's just the injuries. I just certain guys we can't have injuries to. Obviously, Zach Wilson. I think Lawson is really important in tying in this whole defense. So can't have that. Now, moving on to the division now, just a couple division updates just to keep you in the loop of what's going on. We got Hulk Wilson, but let me tell you something. There's a lot of talk out of New England. He's the best shape of his life. Mac Jones, man, coming in, dropping some weight. So we got the one guy beefing up with the weights versus the guy who went cardio style to try to remove a little bit of the baby skin stomach that he had or something like that he had to get rid of. And so he's in the best shape of his life. He doesn't know who's going to actually be calling plays for him, but either way, he's excited to hand the ball off to the running backs and to check down for the screens and the out passes. So, listen, I can make fun of him. We can make fun of him all he wants. He showed up big time last year. The team, I think, overachieved. We had a really good staff that was still well put together. Had a couple guys leak out. I think they take a step backwards. I think it's hard for people to imagine a Bill Belichick-led team being in last place. And I understand the Jets and the Dolphins and the Bills ahead of them. That's just how it works, man. I mean, you take it a few years back when I was younger, the Patriots were friggin' irrelevant. It was all about the Bills and the Dolphins. So, I mean, except for that Tom Brady run, this division has mostly been controlled by the Bills and the Dolphins. Don't forget about that. All those years years back in the 90s and stuff with Marino and Kelly, and even the Dolphins started winning divisions after that. Like, they've controlled a large portion of this division at one time too. So it is possible for teams to get better and for other teams to not keep their pieces and they get older and they retire and move on. And sometimes schemes and ways of doing things just get put in the past. And it happens. It happens to the best of them. And, Tom Brady's kind of like outliving everyone. He's doing something that's never been done before and never will be done again. But Belichick's time is coming soon. And I think, they're going to take a step back. With the Bills, you're talking about a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. Anything short of that to me is a failure. This is your time. This is your window. And we talk about it all the time on the show with Richard in the comment sections. Once you start paying guys that big money, man, it's hard to keep pieces on deck. And you got to take advantage of it. And it's gonna be hard long term to keep people around unless they take either shorter deals or cheaper deals. I don't know how it's gonna be, but the Bills have a 2-year window to get it done, I really think. And I think the Jets are going to be nipping at their heels. And we'll see what happens, with the Dolphins. But I'm not really sure with that. And then our other friends, who do we got else in there? We got the Dolphins. We got Tyreek Hill openly admitting that he had low expectations for Tua. So openly admitting. So let's see how he pieces that together when Tua starts throwing balls over his head. Let me tell you something. When you're playing with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, and God, I don't want to see anyone really fail. I just want to see the Jets do really well, right? I don't want to see anyone's career fail. That sucks. But I just want to see the Jets do better than them. But when you go from Mahomes to Tua, you're going to see a big difference in play. You're just going to. So I could see some frustrating times happening for Tyreek Hill. But remember Tyreek Hill. Remember this day. Joe Douglas had a deal in place for you that was accepted by the Kansas City Chiefs. You would have been paid very comparable money. Taxes, very different, obviously, in Miami. I think that Joe Douglas is putting together a very good roster with really good weapons to protect around you, so you're not always the main focus. I think he's putting together a good run game, a good solid young defense, and a good staff. And hey, I know you're from Florida and all that kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And you already won a Super Bowl ring. And I think that's what kind of hurts this deal a little bit. And this is why. You agreed to a trade to go somewhere with a quarterback that you had low expectations for going in. And the biggest thing that everyone says is the reason why you went there is not for the quarterback, not for the staff, not for the scheme, not for the fact of how they're going to use you. It's for the fact that you're from there. You're going home. It kind of feels like all the big time work was kind of put in already, and he's kind of just going home, getting the paycheck, and kind of just coasting a little bit. Why would you agree to go somewhere where you know the expectations are going to be really low? Well, we just spoke about all the reasons why, and they're not really football related. And so I think that once you start seeing Tua struggle, if he does, I think this could be an issue for their team overall as far as the continuity. And then you're scrambling around figuring out who we're going to get in here to come play football because we have Tyreek Hill, we have this and that. And they can go and try to figure it out because the Jets and many others have, because if you don't have your quarterback, you are screwed. Kevin, what do you think about some of the updates for the division and any updates of your own that might be different?
You know what team I would compare us to? Here we go. Now I'm going to sound like the homer that you were saying you get called, right? You know what team was awful forever and ever 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 and ever? The LA Rams. Remember they even had and they were the joke of the NFL for a long, long time. There was even a ton of songs about it in like the 70s, 80s. And you're like, wow, Kevin, you sound old. But it wasn't until the greatest show on turf came along where they drafted and they traded for all these young, talented guys. They drafted Isaac Bruce. They drafted Torrey Holt. They traded for Marshall Faulk. And then they lucked out with Kurt Warner. And they got the right coach, right? The super energetic Dick Vermeil, who was like out and energetic and high energy, super, still like all the way, like, forever. Dick Vermeil is a high energy guy. Got the right energy with the right young talent. And then boom, they flipped the switch. And now the Rams are winning Super Bowls. And you're like, how did that happen? Because the Rams forever were the other LA team that no one went and saw. Even when they had Eric Dickerson, still nobody went and saw them. So the Jets, to me, are those guys, right? You got Moore and Wilson, and just keep throwing Rucker and Conklin and two young, fast running backs. And they're just building a team like the right way. And, you know, when you look at, I think that Hill deal will be the one that we remember. Could have been Hill or Johnson as a pass rusher and Hall as a running back. And literally, like, that's going to end up being the difference. Did you want Johnson and Hall, who we traded up for and grabbed, both of them, or did we want Hill, a 28 going on 29-year-old receiver getting $30 million a year? And I totally agree with what you said on the flip side of that, where Adams parlayed what he did great with Rodgers. He's like, I'm going to go get $30 million. I'm going to go play with Derek Carr, who couldn't throw 25 touchdowns last year, right? Even though he had a great completion percentage and made the playoffs, he threw 23 touchdowns in 17 games, man.
But remember, too, they're also best friends.
That's fine. He's 29, going $30 million a year is a lot.
Maybe if that's your boy, you think like your real boy too, not like that make believe stuff, but like he's actually your real friend. You think maybe I could get a few more out of here. Maybe we could get 27 touchdowns.
Yeah, maybe.
But Colin Kaepernick might be right behind him. If the Raiders sign Colin Kaepernick, which I absolutely think they should do, because if the Raiders are going to finally meet expectations, you got to have a backup quarterback that can get it done. And Kaepernick has been to the Super Bowl. He's been to NFC Championship games. This man is deserving of a chance.
We're about to start a humongous debate in the comments right now.
He's better. He's better than so many other backups that are in the league. Would I want him on the Jets? Absolutely not. I don't want him on the Jets because it's New York and the New York press is just wild. But I do think that even now he's better than a lot of, and this is what football people are telling me. This is why Harbaugh allowed him to do. Do you think Harbaugh would allow him to work out on the field on his word if he didn't know that Colin could still play? Of course not. He's good enough friends with Colin that he would be able to tell him like, hey son, listen, you don't got it no more. You know, he's got it, dude. Of course. Now, is the man 5 years removed? Sure, he's going to have to earn it, right? But at least give him a fair shot. So I think if you give him a fair shot, maybe he gets on a roster as a backup, not as a starter. Obviously, 5 years out, I don't think you're coming in anywhere and you're starting. But I think for the Raiders, they need to have at least a few guys on the roster, I think, to get it done. But I think that's a great move for Davante. You know, they're another team, man, kind of like the Jets, where they kind of have to like erase just a little bit of that stain on them, right, to get over the hump, like for people to believe in them, because there's another team where they've kind of crawled up a little bit, and then they always kind of falter, like, right, what do you think? And last year they got players like, all right, here we go. And they made some additions. And that's another thing. That's another team that I think is underrated in the AFC that we sleep on. We talk about all these other teams, right? And all these other great quarterbacks. And here we are. There's another team that we forget to talk about that has Darren Waller and Jacobs and Davante Adams. I mean, this is not going to be an easy AFC team to beat. The Chargers, another team that we discount, they've got Herbert and they've got a bunch of weapons. It's like,
that's the team we want to be. We don't want to be the Raiders. We want to be the Bengals. We want to be the Chargers. I see the Raiders as one of those teams with the middle of the pack. They got a Kirk Cousins. They got a Dak. They got guys who will put up some stats, but they're not going to win. Like, you just know Cowboys aren't going to win with Dak. You know, Minnesota's not going to win with Cousins. I want the Herbert, right? I want the Joe Burrow. I want the Josh Allen.
Carr's not going to win a Super Bowl, I think. If he does, then we got to give him some props, right?
For sure. No, agree.
But yeah, I agree with that. But he's a guy, though, that if you have the right components together, I think you might be able to get lucky, right? Like like
the Flacco in Baltimore. Or
yeah,
right.
the
kind of like Eli, to be honest. I said it,
yeah.
Giants fans. I said it.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, I'm kind of down. Like, I want some consistency with this team, man. I need playoffs, at least by next year, and then the year after, and then the year after, and then the year after. Like, I'm tired of like 2 years or 1 year, and then we're back in the pits again. I hate it. Like, we need some consistency as a football team, and I think that's by keeping your GM, keeping your coach, keeping your quarterback, and letting these guys develop. And I think they got all the right pieces. I really, really do, guys. But we're going to have to watch it. We can't get too crazy. We got to be calm because, you know, you guys are going to start yelling at me again and stuff like that once the season gets started. Oh, the guru ain't nothing and all this stuff. Listen, guys, leave me alone. I'm trying my best out here. I don't get paid for this. Start paying me if you're going to start dissing me, man. Come on, man. I'm a decent person out here. So, listen, I love you guys so much. My computer's about to die. I'm going to be going to Florida. Wish me luck. Got a lot of stuff to take care of. It's going to be really hot out there. So I'm going to be drinking, hydrating. You should do the same. Football Sunday is right around the corner. I mean, they're going to come real quick, guys. I promise. But JETS, Jets. Love you. Take care of yourself. And once again, shout out to, Rockaway, man. Just hug your family, everything that's been going on in the news and just, people dropping and COVID and all this stuff, man. Just a lot of people just passed away in the last couple years, man. So a lot of people have lost family and friends and stuff. So be a little bit more gentle when dealing with people because, we're all going through stuff and, just have a little bit more compassion. We got to be human out here, right? So anyways, love you guys. Take care. Have a good night and see you soon.